Ah yes, this is exactly what a certain community wanted to read more about. Someone who worked on Arcane decided to make a post on Twitter talking about Jinx's final design, ekko, and Jinx in prison. As you can see right here, this is the person who made the post, and obviously the link to all of this can be found in the description of this video if you want to check it out yourself. I'm proud to present my sketches for the final look of Jinx for Arcane Season 2. Also ekko and some sketches for Jinx in jail. This was the hardest and most important task for me during my work on the show. Jinx is the best girl, the most special child for me. As you can see, we have a sketch of Jinx and the Rhino gun, and this one is kind of funny because we have the Rhino gun, which is kind of big, yet Jinx is able to carry it around without any effort. We all know it has an explanation. Well, she was infused with Shimmer, and we know Shimmer not only gives her super speed, but also super strength. And that is something we've seen in the 9th episode of the first season, whenever she's able to carry Vi's gauntlets without the gauntlets being turned on. Not only that, but in the 2nd season, whenever Vi is fighting with Jinx, she is trying to push her away with the gauntlets, but Jinx activates her Shimmer powers and pushes the gauntlets towards Vi, and that is crazy to me. One aspect which people spotted about this sketch is the fact that you can see ekko's name on Jinx's arm. That's interesting. I have to say that's interesting, together with the fact that in this sketch you can see she chose to use a 3rd color in her hair. I could be wrong and maybe there is a shade of blue or green or whatever in the final design which I'm not seeing, but in this sketch you can clearly see it, and in this one right here as well, but this one is green, the other one is more cyan or however it's called. Another interesting aspect about this is not that she rides the Rhino gun, it's the fact that she uses Firelight technology in her weapon. How do we know that? Well, if you play the Jinx Fixes Everything minigame, you will be able to play as Jinx and you will see how she built the weapon in the 3rd act. This design right here is absolutely badass. It kind of reminds me of Star Wars, and well, people who have seen Star Wars will probably understand what I'm talking about, but it reminds me of two things. This piece of clothing reminds me of clone troopers, ARC troopers more specifically, and the entire design reminds me of bounty hunters. This one right here reminds me of Asajj Ventress for some reason, but I'm not gonna go into that because people don't care. Again, Jinx with her Rhino gun, and after that we go to another section of the post made on Twitter where you can see that in addition to the Rhino gun, she's wearing the same protective glasses she was wearing whenever Silco told her about the enforcers she killed. I want to express enormous gratitude to other artists at my team and for Tish who also worked on Jinx and her props with me and after me. So we have a list of people who worked on this project, and then we have another image of Jinx riding the Rhino gun, but with an additional gadget, a grappling hook. Pretty cool idea we've never got to see in the show. Then in the 3rd section of the post is something most people from the Time Bomb community will be happy to see, or at least I believe they will. And as you can see, the idea was to have the big coat of ekko on Jinx. The directors loved the idea of a monster hood, but ultimately they did not have the good moment to present the coat in the show as is. But Riot decided to make a statue featuring this design choice. This statue can be found on the official Riot Games merch website. There is a link to that in the description as well if you want to check it out. Obviously, the design itself is not the final design. Maybe at one point this was the idea of the relationship between ekko and Jinx. And right now, it really makes me wonder what's going to happen in the future between ekko and Jinx if this is what they wanted to do in the beginning. And as it was mentioned earlier, the design for the hood with her hair looking very close to the tongue of a monster. Then we have the design used for the statue. The final part of the post, we have right here a small addition of the sketches for Jinx in jail. Whenever I look at this, I'm thinking about Jinx and the possible scenes we never got between her and the other characters. Obviously we got an interaction between Jinx and Caitlyn, Jinx and Vi. You could say Jinx and Silco, but it was herself. Either way, besides those characters, obviously I'm thinking about Mel and Jace. Jace is absolutely a good idea to have part of a scene where he interacts with Jinx for a few seconds, right? A few minutes maybe. Who knows? The idea is that Jace knows that this is Jinx. He absolutely knows that because he was together with Caitlyn and Vi whenever she was arrested. We know that Jace whooped in whenever Warwick was dying, whenever Isha killed Warwick, and took Caitlyn and Vi out of there. We know that Jinx was with them and turned herself into the enforcers. And when that happens, Jace is gonna have a reaction. Oh, that's Jinx? Jinx is probably not gonna say anything, maybe. But in prison, she seemed talkative, a bit, right? A bit more talkative than she would have been in those moments when Isha just died. So why not a moment between Jinx and Jace? Pretty interesting stuff right there, in my opinion. I could be wrong about that, and I'm not blaming the creators for not adding that scene. I'm not complaining at all. It's simply interesting to talk about. The only interactions that were recorded between Jinx and Jace were recorded for the fractured Jinx skin in League of Legends.
The man of progress, in the flesh! Oh, I'm such a fan of using your posters for target practice.
Even though that can be called a canon skin and the lines of dialogue can be called canon, that is the only place where you will be able to find an interaction between Jinx and Jace, and the same goes for a possible interaction between Mel Medarda and Jinx.
I overlooked your mayhem once, Jinx. I will not repeat that mistake.
If you want to find out more about Jinx's interactions with other characters from Arcane or other champions from League of Legends, you can read more about that on the official League of Legends wiki. Besides that, a few final words about these sketches of Jinx in prison. You can clearly see the difference between these and the final version. She wears a prison outfit, she also has shoes, while in the final version she's barefoot. And not only that, but her braids are not fully undone. Finally, thank you to this person for making the post. Very insightful stuff. Some of these sketches can be found in the Arcane art book, so if you want to buy something related to the show, well, in my opinion, it's one of the best things they released related to Arcane. With all of that being said, did you know that Ella Purnell, Jinx's voice actress, misses playing Jinx? And if not, you can watch that video.